Oh man, that is just so messed up. That is just so messed up. It wasn't even it wasn't even the PC that crashed. Oh man, that is just so messed up. It's like we literally ascended, and after I got the achievement, the entire game just crashed and rebooted my computer. Even the error message said that the app caused the fatal error. Yeah, it's just a completely different error message than what I typically got when I was streaming, or just in general. When my PC, excuse me, when my PC would normally crash because of the video card, the screen would just go completely black, and and then nothing. It just sat there. But this time the PC actually did reboot and then generate a fatal error code for the game itself. So there has to be something messed up with either with the game itself, the install, or something to that effect. But man, and that's really sad too, because I don't know if, let me pull up the Xbox console here, or the, let's see here. I just want to see if I think I'll actually do is since it keeps crashing like that. Well, let's see. Okay, surfacing, escape from the pontoons, drown side. Which ones do I still? I don't know if that. I don't know if that is the final. Well, the game crashed, but the PC didn't crash, which is a good thing. And I'm reinstalling the game right now, just because if I haven't finished it, then I really want to finish this game tonight, because there are several other games I want to play that I've been putting off because I want to stream them, but at the same time, between the PC giving me trouble, and then now the game itself giving me trouble, I'm not gonna stop tonight until I'm finished. Umberto, welcome back. But yeah, when my PC actually rebooted completely, which before it would never do that. When the video card issue would pop up, it would just go to a blank black screen, and that would be it. I would have to power cycle my PC just to get it back up. And when I would do that, the video card would be disabled in device manager. So, and from what I gather from talking with people from AMD and XFS, X. It does that because either there was a voltage problem or that it detected an irregularity. And there's also a little red light that comes on when that happens on the video card itself, right next to the power cables. So they said, well, you're using a 6+2 pin connector to connect the video card to the power supply. And they said this can happen depending on the type of power supply it is. And since the RTX card, that the adapter malfunctioned, and it more or less molded itself onto the other 8-pin power supply cable. I had to do a little bit of jerry rigging it and cleaning out some of the areas, so I could get all the wax and the plastic out of there so I could make a connection. And I've had it running for over 2 days now, and it has not given me a single problem. So I think I'm okay for now, but I still want to look at possibly replacing this power supply. But if I could, at least kind of limp along until, we get closer to like October, November, and then snag a power supply, during Black Friday month, since that's pretty much what November has turned into. I think I could, I think I could make it that far, especially if this setup is basically stable other than the game crashing. Because I've tested all I've tested all my RAM. I have 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I have 48 gigs of RAM in my PC. Oh, is it 48? Wait a minute. I can't math anymore. Let's see here. So I did it. 60 times 4. Yeah, 64. I have 60. Is that right? I should know. I'm the one that put it into my computer, for crying out loud. Yeah, I have 64 gigs of RAM. I have all 4 slots filled, and I tested all the RAM sticks, and they're all working perfectly. Um, and I haven't seen any issues with the motherboard or processor I uh, since I had replaced the chipset drivers. I'm pretty sure it's the PC. It's not the PC, but because everything else has worked fine on this. I was playing a little bit of Alan Wake 2, and I still play Star Rail on a regular basis, and I've played Star Rail. I actually hadn't been. I got behind in the story of Star Rail because of all the PC crashes, and I spent the last 2.5 days catching up on the story from it, and it never once crashed. And that would be one of the games that it would always crash on. So I'm very confident it's probably the game. And I don't know if we like actually hit the end of the game. But so I just reinstalled the game while I was talking. So, oh man, You're making me do this all over again? Oh, there we go. Okay. Alright, so we know what to do here, so we'll just run through this, and hopefully... Alright, hopefully the game does not crash. Okay, skip. Okay, and we'll X, button mash. Okay, and run. I mean, you'd think because it gave me the achievement that it would have saved, but maybe the game crash didn't give it the chance to crash or to save. Alright. So we'll just run through all this. Okay. Good. Alright. Now there's a few there's a few games I've had my eyes on and if the PC issues are more or less taken care of with the way I have the card connected to the power supply, that hopefully gives me the chance to start streaming longer and start actually doing more, because I mean I still have about 60% of my Hollow Earth video that I haven't been able to work on because of the whole PC crashing thing. And I'll be honest with you on that. Might turn down the graphics settings so your GPU. Well, and that's just it. 'Cause like right now with what's on the screen, my GPU is only at 45%, and my VRAM utilization is at 60. And even climbing up where we are now, its GPU is at 40. And now it's around 35, and it's running 60 frames a second. I want to say it might have just been that the game had some corruption in it, which would make sense because I was having trouble just getting it to load, from loading scenes. So I want to almost think that maybe it's just there was corruption, game corruption, or data corruption rather. Okay, we're back in accommodation. Well, take the chance and change your clothes. There's clothes right here. I mean, you just put on something that's not wet. You are in a locker room. I'm sure there's clothes in here that you could put on. There, use a towel to dry off, man. Seriously, there's a towel right here. Ring. Well, Change your clothes. Okay, we don't want to sit there and try to read all that. Change your clothes. You got clothes here. Is there a locker we're supposed to go to? Look, there's a brand new shirt right there. And, oh my. Okay. We don't need to look at that. Alright, if you're not going to change clothes, do we have to go back out here? Well, that's where we came from, right? Okay. Well, if you're not gonna put any of the clothes on that we just walked past, where do we find what we're supposed to turn into? And see, here again is another thing where you would think that there would be something. I mean, you would think it would be this locker, considering there's a shirt in here and everything else, and it's open, and it's kind of like sitting here saying, "Hey, look at me." But I mean, by the time I figure out what I'm supposed to do here, he'd probably end up drying himself off from it being so long. And he's talking about use heater. Okay, there. So I guess we're gonna just dry heat ourselves. So apparently the heater dried out our clothes, so we are no longer cold. Okay. Roy, you're blinking. Hello? There are so many game developers that they that it's to the point where game developers basically operate under the assumption that they're going to take a upfront reputation hit, and they just release the game, and as long as they've been paid, that's the end of it. Because the game development used to be at minimum, it used to be like a 2.5 to 4 year long cycle, you know, of just getting the game out of prototype and beta, alpha, and beta phase to market, and then you would have the 5-10 year lifespan of the game. If it's a live service game or online game, that kind of thing. At least Jesus loves us. Investigate the flare stack. Okay. Wait, dang it. Hello? Susie? Huh? Um, what? We, we are definitely hallucinating at this point. Okay. But yeah, I honestly think that game developers have more or less resigned themselves to release games in whatever state they may be, with the idea that development studios are no longer something that are, you know, sustainable past however many years they've been open. So I look how many development studios have either gone out of business or they've been shut down or absorbed or, you know, whatever it is. You know, they unless they're names like, you know, Capcom or, you know, even Konami at this point. You know, they're kind of a shell of their former selves. But, you know, Capcom, you know, probably like Ben Studios, you know, Activision. They're just there's just no incentive. Dude, we are like tripping balls right now. And I think that that's what people have largely come to accept as well. Is just that, you know, game development and development studios are less of a house of creation and more of just like a no, that's not right. You know, they're more of a, you know, get a project out and then everyone moves their own separate ways. You know, there's no sustainability. The only ones that have that sustainability is maybe like Activision, Blizzard, you know, Capcom again, Square Enix, and, you know, the companies that have made it, you know, that aren't, you know, staple development companies. They really have to have a solid game or a franchise that they're building. I think the bright side will be when the whole place goes boom. Convenience. Yeah, we seem to have the skill set to do everything else. I'm sure we could figure this out just fine. I mean, otherwise, we basically know how to do everything else on this on this thing. Uh, Brody dug the radio out. Okay. Yeah. Speaking of the radio, I mean, have we even bothered to look and see if we can like activate it? Which way are we supposed to go? I guess we gotta jump across that thing over here, don't we? Game used to be like Wukong, fully optimized, polished product with almost no bugs. I really miss games like that. Yeah, and I think nostalgia has a bit to blame for it too, because if you look at uh if you look at a lot of older games, a lot of those games, they were released with bugs, but at the same time, they had more or less gone through a rigorous process in order to, try to eliminate everything that would be game breaking, more or less. And some game bugs, breaking bugs weren't discovered until 20 years later. But then we also have to look at the fact that game there's so much access to game, different games of various of various quality that we're more likely to be able to see games that are just piss poor developed, and people have a larger platform now to share with others. Oh shit. Ah, okay. That scared me so much I cursed. Damn. Okay. uh oh, you are here, thank you. Okay. Oh, gas lift. All right, got it. Okay. Open, open. Okay. Oh, do we gotta put up with this guy again? All right. Uh-oh. We do have to put up with this guy again. Oh boy. Yeah, you can just stay up there, and we're not gonna be able to use this again, are we? Nope. Okay, flare stack valve control. Okay. So we gotta go do a loop-de-loop. What the fuck is that? Ah! Okay. We're back here again. Okay. So apparently he's down here with us now, which is great. Oh yeah. So think of all that money. Okay. So how do we get past okay. We gotta go this way. Okay. Alright. Now we gotta slide through here. And I say nope. What the hell? I think he heard you too, but that's okay. Because we're gonna squeeze through here and we're not gonna fall. Shh! Stop talking, man. Well, uh-oh. 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 Oh yeah, we're just having a blast. Game. Can't we like burn him alive or something? Can't we like lure him into the fire and then like just turn it on? Ah! Get down! No! 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 No, we gotta go all the way back here. Ah. Okay, so I guess I guess we gotta like crouch and scoot to not be heard as much. Okay. And you think that the noise itself... Yes, we are. Oh yeah, we're just peachy. Hey, buddy. Well, that makes two of us then. You slimy bastard. Oh, you get to climb over the fire. Okay. That's very, like, sportsman of you. Yo, how did he even get up here, anyways? I mean, we like literally left him and that whole. Ah! Oh, come on! And this is like one of the biggest downfalls of having an antagonist character like this. It's just like you do that. Uh, I see his patrol area has gotten smaller. Uh, could you like go away for a bit and not ever come back? Thank you. See, and this is the bad part about like. So you're probably like wondering why like I died the first couple times, and it's because if you're running, you have to come to a complete stop and then wait about like half a second because if you otherwise you're otherwise you're mashing the button to try to crouch and you know it's a matter of um, input control, and it could be that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. At this point, let's just like jump into the water and be over with it. Okay. Gas flare operation hazard. Gas flare must remain lit all times. Gas deval. Okay. All right. Yeah, I think so too, but I mean, it is what it is, I guess. But see, I think that's I don't know if this game was. I think that they developed it for mouse and keyboard first, and then controller second, which seems like a lot of. Ah! Ah! Open! Ah! Come on, pull, pull, pull! Okay. And of course, they have to move the unkillable stalker to the place that you need to go to. Alright. Burn, you punk! Uh-oh. Boom! Alright. Okay. Now, hopefully. Ah! Of course, I escaped the big hot. Okay. Don't rush me. There's lots of holes in here now. All right. Jump. Jump. I am moving. I'm moving as fast as the game will let me. Well, I'm in a cutscene now, so. Okay. And this, dude. And you want to go back to this woman? I mean, dude, just like, I mean, if that's the way she wants it and thinks about you, I would not go back to that. You have done nothing wrong, man. That is all her. And where the hell are we? Okay, this must be what's left of the The rig? Ah! Okay. Well, note to self. Make sure you're looking at where you're walking at all times. Okay. Hey, how's it going? Welcome, welcome. Sorry I didn't see you. I was paying attention to what the cutscene there. How you doing? Welcome, welcome. Oh, we gotta jump. We gotta jump to that. Wait a minute. That can't be what we have to do. Maybe we could. Oh, you changed your name. You must be Oreo, huh? You sound like Oreo. You remind me of Oreo, anyways. Let's see here. Hey, long time no see. I'm glad that you're doing. I'm glad you're here. I hope you're doing all right. And I'm glad that you came now because I've had to restart the stream like 4 times because the game must have had some kind of data corruption in it because it kept crashing. So it came at a good time. We're well, hopefully I'm almost done with the game. We have spent about 6 hours playing it, and the game is about 5 to 6 hours long, according to the completion stats of other people. But then again, I tend to die a lot, so well that night. Ah! Just keep going, keep going. That night, and I tried to maintain the atmosphere of the game as much as I can, but I mean, there's been. What the heck was that? Something hit me. Oh, that's good. I'm glad to see you. You know, I don't have many people to talk about like Star Rail to. So, are you still playing Star Rail by chance, or have you moved on? Yeah. Hang on, hang on, hang on. We're good. We're good. Okay. Or did you take a break from it or anything like that, or okay, I oh, okay. I've oh no, what's this note? Brody, if you read this, I'll meet you in engineering. I did my lot, but your plan better work. Last chance. Okay. Yeah, I've had I've kept up with Star Rail. I haven't exactly started ZZZ. Oh, don't tell me you crashed again. You've crashed again, didn't you? Alright, hang on. We are supposedly close to ending the game. Me. You're not gonna let me end it that way, are you? Sorry about this. I thought reinstalling the game would fix it, but it looks like it hasn't. And oops. Let's see here. Well, while I look for trying to figure out how to get this situated. So what I've been looking at is I've been looking at what I wanted to stream um after this game, and there's a few options I've been looking at. I've been looking at wanting to play ZZZ. Finally starting on that, and then I also thought about I haven't tried it. I've downloaded it, but I haven't tried it. And there's that one game, I think it's called like Once Human or something like that. Uh, and it's a free download on Steam that I wanted to try. And then I also have the new Alone in the Dark game that I haven't started on yet. So I figured that since we have for like especially if you notice all the girls in Hall Live and um Niji and even some of the other VTuber companies out there, they've all started playing horror games again. It's that time of the year where in Japan, you do spooky things to get chills, and the chills make you feel cooler, which I don't know. That kind of logic doesn't make sense to me, but it's like, okay, I'll just go with it, kind of thing. Um, yeah, the game died again, and I, I've tried to shut down and repair it, and It just does. It's not working. So I, as much as I wanted to finish the game and complete it while streaming, um, four times is enough. Of having to restart the game over and over and over again, and having to do this, and then reboot my computer, then restart it even again, and it's like, okay, we're done. We'll just say that we'll make up our own ending and say that we almost got out, and then if all the clues are where I think the story was going, it looked like we had been enveloped into a larger consciousness. And if you notice, every time we died, it was kind of like we were seeing flashbacks, and then we got rewinded. So I'm kind of thinking that like maybe our consciousness was enveloped by whatever the thing was that we had unwittingly released while drilling for oil. And the fact that we kept on getting rewound, and then the story would move forward and rewound and move forward, and we black out, and we'd be recalling different things from the past. It all seemed, especially when you had that kind of gooey lens thing while we were trying to remember the past. I want to think that we never made it out. That's what it seemed like to me, anyways. We never made it out. We got assimilated into the thing, and it's just that our consciousness has been floating back and forth in whatever the larger creature is. That's what we're experiencing. Um, and it would make sense because the very first thing that you experience is memory of what happened right before you got to the rig, and then what's the reason why you were there. And there's like absolutely nothing else that matters at that point, because you're just it's already happened. So you're just that's the story is just taking you along for in that memory. So that's my opinion, anyways. It would make the most sense, but then again, I mean, who knows? The original writer and creator of the game may be like an M Light Shyamalan type of fan, and think, oh, we'll just put a twist at the end. I don't know. Yeah, Lord Cthulhu wins. Yeah, and that's that's what I had been calling this game for. This is kind of like a Cthulhu, HP Lovecraft type of game. And if you notice, a lot of the like the color palettes, even that they really leaned into that cyan purple type of color scheme, and then you get that contrasted with like that kind of particle greenish lights, which was, I think that honestly, if the game would stop crashing, and again, it could just be my computer, but if the game didn't crash as much, and then if my PC didn't have problems previous, and we were able to experience the game without having to constantly stop and restart and stop and restart, I think it would have been a 7 to an 8 experience. I still have problems with like the control scheme, and the fact that you have to kind of retread the same territory over and over and over again, and you're constantly being hounded by a creature that largely there is just nothing you can do about, and you have to just keep doing trial and error until you either have that one in however many 1 in 10 chance of being able to get through, or there's just a lot that was left up to chance, in my opinion, that just did not sit well with me, especially with like the chase scenarios. um and then of course you have the chase scenarios combined with a poorly lit atmosphere, because and it's not poorly lit because the developer skimped out on the lighting aspect. It's poorly lit because the power is largely out in a lot of areas. Um, but you have to, in my opinion, you have to have where you're trying to lead the character signposted a little bit better. A lot of games, they heavily rely on having a yellow trail for somebody to follow, and I'm not saying that that's what you have to do, but if you are going to limit the amount of it of what the player can see, you have to be able to be able to scan the environment real quickly, when especially if you're being chased by an enemy that you can't kill or impede in any way. And you have to be able to say, oh, I need to go that way, or oh, that's probably the direction I'm supposed to go. And a lot of times it's kind of like just walking around in a dark room without any lights, and thinking, okay, sooner or later I'm gonna find the light switch. I don't know if you want to have that kind of feeling in a game that can be largely frustrating, because you have a persistent person chasing you and you don't know where you're supposed to go. That, or at least have a map. I'm all for having immersive experiences, but I mean, if you get to a point where you've had to restart the same section 4, 5, 10 times, at least give an option to toggle on a map that you can you can look at from time to time. But the Cool 2T, welcome to the chat. Welcome. Wait, is your Discord still live? No, it's mostly buried. I had gotten back on Discord for a little bit because I was talking to several different people. Some people in IRL, some people in a Japanese Discord chat room. Mostly they were asking about who this English speaking person was that had joined their Discord because of one of the Japanese VTubers I talked to. She had invited me to their Minecraft server, and everyone was like, "Wait, who's this English person? Is he supposed to be here? Who invited him?" That kind of thing. But yeah, it's been more or less kind of bleh. But there are a few things I've thought about doing with Discord, but the thing of it is, and I was kind of talking about where do I send art? Where do I send? No English replayability. Well, replayability. I'm all for replayability. I just think that with if a game, how can I say it? you can have replayability without having the frustration of not knowing where you're supposed to go. And it would be one thing if it would be one thing if like after and I there's been games like this. I was trying to think of a title, but where after like 4 or 5 times, if you're in the same area and 4 or 5 times, you just cannot, the player cannot progress in any way, shape, or form. There have been games where like the next time you reload that area, to retry again, it will it will trigger something to kind of give a hint of where you're supposed to go. Whether it be a light or maybe even load in a yellow texture to kind of like say, hey, go this way, that kind of thing. You know, um, because I think you can have that kind of challenge and not frustrate the person to the point where they're like, you know, feeling annoyed that they're stuck in this area and they don't know where to go or what to do or what they're even supposed to be looking for. And that's where this game has largely fallen, in my opinion. They say, go here, but you have not passed by anything at all to tell you you're going the right direction. And in the game that they had certain sections that had maps for that on the wall or what have you, and you are here type of thing, but they are so sporadic throughout the entire game that even with trying to navigate your between floors or sections and departments, you start seeing less and less signs saying go down to to strut A, go up to crew quarters. That started becoming less and less of a of an occurrence, and it became more like, okay, where am I even supposed to be going at this point? And for me, I used to play Metal Gear Solid 2 like every single day for several years. I mean, I was just a big Metal Gear Solid fan, and I still am, but not as much as I used to be. And so I started kind of learning, okay, this is how oil rigs and refineries and stuff like that are kind of made, especially with like the struts and where things are located and that kind of thing. And so for me it's like, okay, they're telling me to go down to the pontoon, okay, I basically I know I need to go this way, that kind of thing. But if you're just playing the game and you have absolutely no idea the environment that they're in, I mean, a lot of people would get frustrated with it and just say, okay, fine, I'm just not gonna play it anymore. It was just a game I wanted to try anyways. And that's why you start looking at like the statistics with achievements and whatnot, and you get to a certain point and only 64% of all the players have gotten that achievement, and that achievement is basically story progression. And that's basically where the game ended up crashing for this final time, was that there was only 64% completion up to that achievement. Raiden, you must go back to yeah, exactly. I need scissors 64 or whatever it was. Uh I mean, is there an art channel for my Discord? Oh, I don't believe so, but I believe I still had the ability to post post pictures in like the main channel, And I was trying not to spread things. When I was rebuilding the Discord server, I was trying to limit the amount of unused channels I had, and but while at the same time, allowing people to have the freedom to do whatever they wanted to do, whether it be art or pictures or anything else like that. But yeah, you should be able to post it in the main chat channel. Most games get low achievement numbers for later. Yeah, well, and I think that's in a way it's really a shame because there are a lot of games that either start off slow and then they get like really good later on, and in a lot of ways, if a game is not able to capture your attention within the first hour, and it's a game that takes say 15, 20 hours to complete, with the amount and frequency of that games come out, if you don't have a game that captures the attention and keeps you hooked all the way through, a lot of times, like you say, they never finish it and they just move on. I mean, even when The Last of Us Part Two came out, there were people that were like arguing and arguing, their opinions on the game itself, and you look at the achievement status, especially back then, and only like one out of every six people were even getting to the end. A lot of people didn't even get to the last, the game completion, and they were forming entire opinions about things solely because it was an emotional type of argument that was happening at the time, and yeah, okay, I can understand if you have specific arguments about different things, especially when it came to topics of conversation for that game. But at the same time, in order to have a more complete type of opinion, I thought, and I still do, that it's better to complete the game, or at least be able, to say that you have seen all the cutscenes that lead up to the finale of the game in order to have an opinion, and not just throw a blanket comment out there because you have a particular, or you feel like you have a particular stake in, what that you believe the art is trying to justify, or in a lot of cases, make comments about social issues. They could have watched a well, and that's just it too. Back then, the Let's Plays were a lot fewer and far between. I think, and a lot of that had to do with the fact that well, let me rephrase that, because that's not exactly true. I think that the amount of completion for that people were what people were trying to have an opinion on it when the game was so freshly out there, that there weren't a lot of let's plays or streamers that had completed the game at that point. And a lot of the topics of conversation either were primarily social issues that they felt the game was representing, or they were based around um, the whole story arc about Joel, and and then also the other playable character in the game, and that there was such an emotional argument with people having an emotional attachment to certain characters. The fact that the game was only framed through one player or one character's eyes through the first part of the game, and then their character's eyes the second part of the game. And a lot of it, and unless you had been able to watch a let's play and get all the way to the end, there was a lot of perspective that was lost in the process. And there, and then there's also a lot of perspective that, I mean, even like I said, with the whole social issues that were discussed within the greater arc of the game narrative itself. That there was this, like, if you say something negative about the game, you must hate the game, and you're a bad person because you hate the game because the game represents blah blah blah, and you start making leaps of logic that just do not make sense. And it's like, no. You can hate the story, but not necessarily hate the issues that it's trying to bring up. You can hate a character and not necessarily hate the entirety of the story, or what it was trying, the whole point of the story was trying to give you, and people are gonna take from the story, walk away with from the story with whatever applies to them, or what, the different things are gonna leave a different impression on different people. For example, if you were a straight guy, you may not see the emotional attachment or the whole big deal about Ellie and her lover, right? You may not understand the fact that if you've never hated somebody in your life to the point where you want to go out and do them in, you're not going to understand the whole feeling of hatred and revenge, and how that kind of thing can destroy a relationship, regardless of your gender or orientation or anything else. There are a lot of different things that people take for granted, and they say, well, if you don't see it through my eyes, then you must be bad, or that your opinion's wrong. And it may not be. If you listen to the justification of why somebody sees it the way that they see it, just because it differs from how you see it doesn't make it wrong. And that's kind of the way that I tried, and this is something I've been thinking about the last couple of days, and I've been tinkering around with the script to record at some point so I can upload a video. But I'll just touch base on it right now. It's why, when people walk in to my channel and they see that I've done a lot of videos about any color the last couple of months, or probably the last several weeks at least, right? And almost every one of them talks about positives of any color, or disproves what people are saying about any color, and the statements that they make, or what the narrative they're trying to frame, and why those statements are wrong. All right. Now, a lot of people, they don't like any color as a company themselves, and they do feel that they have the traits of a black company. All right. Now, I personally have not been able to talk to anybody who has worked there. All right. That said, there is a lot of evidence that comes in the forms of, of financial reports, of other various sites where people have left their opinion and their view of the company, so on and so forth. And there's a lot of evidence that you can gather up that's free on the internet that shows that, just like CoverCore, the base salary of the base of a regular employee there, regardless of what department you work in, is around 30,000 a year, right? And then there's also the $3,000 bonus that the employees have gotten the last couple of years. So, 33 grand. Several employees have said, said on those websites, they got a commuter allowance every month to pay for their transit to and from work. Several of them have said that they received an allowance to help pay for their rent. I mean, so there's lots of things that are on that, that are out there that you can read that point to them, despite the fact that they do work long hours, and I admit to that. And I'll give people credit for pointing that out. Yeah, they do work long hours. But when you look at the statistical numbers that are out there, they work about on par. They work probably a little bit more hour wise, but otherwise the numbers are relatively close. That they work between I believe it was somewhere between 55 to 60 hours a week, and those numbers are on par with other people who work at TBS, the Tokyo Broadcasting. I think that's what Tokyo Broadcasting something system. I think it's system. It's not station. I think it's system. Yeah, TBS. One of the big TV channels in Japan. And if you look at the statistical analysis from people who work at that company, and this is all free public information that you can go to their website, download, read, do whatever. People typically work between, I think it's 58 to 60 hours a week, or a week. But then if you look like any color, has granted time off that's built into their that each employee's contract, or the standard benefits that they do get from the company. They have mostly granted, I think it was like 67 some odd percent, 65, 67, something like that, of time off to employees that have requested time off. Some of them, they did complain that they did have to work like Christmas and New Year's and stuff like that. But of course, that's also a big time for the streamers as well. So that's here nor there. But what my point is that there's a lot of information that if you were to use that as a statement or argument about why you think that a lot of the hate is unfounded, and you cite that information, a lot of people automatically take as, oh, so you're a big Niji stan. Oh, okay, well, you must really be a corporate guy type thing, when because you think that way, and it's like, no, I'm just looking at the empirical evidence. I haven't been able to talk to anybody. I know there's people like Doki Bird that has talked a lot, about her experience, but you also have to remember that Doki Bird, and I'm not saying this as an excuse or to put her down or discredit her, okay? I'm saying this purely from a perspective of somebody who's worked 7 years with, people that have had mental health issues. That, yeah, you're taking you're taking what she's saying at 100% face value when you know that she struggles with mental illness, and we don't know exactly what her complete diagnosis is. And if, depending on a person's frame of mind, they're going to see things one way or another, because of the way that they're perceiving things as they're happening, and whether or not what they're perceiving is the entirety of what is actually happening, or only what they're perceiving as being real or truthful or whatever, when, say, like, they have an episode, and they, when they have episodes, they experience a heavy amount of paranoia. Those things are real. That's a real thing that people with diagnoses, that what I know of her, that they do experience, and they feel like they're being persecuted. They don't do anything right. Everyone's against them. That type of thing, and it could be true. It could really be true. When you are just discredit her, who cares? Well, look, and I did make this comment as well. I honestly have never considered myself to be a content creator. I just did not ever feel like what I was doing was enough justification to call myself a content creator. I'm not very creative to begin with. And I don't have a very large particular skill set of of doing anything really well. So I when I first started, I started this whole thing on YouTube because I wanted a place just to hang out with other people I knew who either streamed, or that they were also, they were content creators, either here or on Twitch. And then this whole thing kind of just took a completely different turn than what I expected, and here I am now, right? But that being said, as I started looking at myself a little bit differently, I started thinking to myself, if I want people to take me seriously, I need to take myself a little bit more seriously when it came to my channel, or what I did, or what I said, because as I've always mentioned in the past, I don't say anything I don't mean, and if I say something, I'll stand behind it, and that's because I want to be somebody who's who can be taken at their word, because I want to be trustworthy. I don't want to be somebody who lies and manipulates things in order to try to make myself look good, or gain my 15 minutes of fame, or all that other BS. I don't. If I want 15 minutes of fame, I want it to be for the right reasons. And I feel like I would do you guys a disservice by lying to you guys just to try to gain more attention to myself. I don't want that. But when it comes to what I do and what I say, I try to. I want people to say, look, Marko talked about this. this is what this is what he's presented. This is what he's given. This is what he's shown. You know, these are the reasons why he, what he said has credibility. And I don't want to be one of those people like, it was a setup. Niji Sanji apparently hates small VTubers. That kind of guy. When you spend like the last 2 years talking trash at them, and then all of a sudden they slap you down because you're slandering them the entire time. It's like, really? I mean, one guy who will not be named, he released a video saying that it was a threat. I was supposed to be part of this con, and I, my standee that was at the show just happened to get put in front of Niji Sanji, and so I thought it was a great picture, so I shared it, and now they're threatening me. It's like, no shit, because you've been talking trash about them for over 2 years, and you're now literally slandering them on social media. Yeah, I think that they would be a little peed off too, and he releases this whole video about it, right? And when you look at the video, it's like, okay, he released it in August of this year, and the con that he's referencing was also in August, and the supposed threat happened in August, but all of that happened like 2 years ago, like a year or 2 years ago, right? And so, but he just happens to release it on like the same day that kind of correlates with it. So, unless you listen to him really carefully, you realize, you don't realize, the normal person is not going to realize or even consider the fact that this was something that happened a couple years ago as opposed to like this year. Because he released it on the same day, and the goal of all this is that he sat on this for like over a year. He sat on this supposed like bombshell threat that he got from Any Color for over a year, just so he can release it the following year, so he could have something to like drum up attention to himself about this perceived threat. And the threat wasn't even against him. The threat was basically, hey, you either help us by taking this standee down, or you're going to cause a situation where my company isn't going to want to, spend the time or money or send the talent to have any part of your con. It's like, yeah, that's called business. That's not threatening, It's like, it's just like, God, I don't want to be that type of person, okay? Now, I release videos that, that poke fun and tease and even at sometimes probably even mock certain people, right? However, I release them under the lens of, okay, this is what they're saying. This is what they want their audience to believe that they're saying. But then when you look at what they are saying, and then you put it up against the cold hard truth, which is, fact-based evidence that anybody can pull up and look at, they're lying to you. That's the point. It's, I mean, I'm not sitting here and like sitting there and saying, you know what, they're lying, so I'm gonna lie about them because they're lying to you, so I'm gonna lie to you too because I'm gonna lie about them in order to make you believe that they're lying because I'm lying to you to get you to lie to, not believe their lie, but you need to believe my lie because my lie is actually better than her lies, and their lie is just so out there that it can be completely discredited. But I'm gonna fabricate this lie in order to make you believe my lie, so you don't believe her lie. I mean, that's what it is. That's what they want you to believe. And it's like, no, that's not who I am. If I'm gonna say something, I'm gonna say something with facts. All right, and I try as much as I can to remove any kind of emotional element out of what I'm presenting. That way, you can see the facts, you can see what I'm presenting you, and then you can draw your conclusion based upon what I am presenting you. And then when you talk to me, or when we have a discussion about what I'm presenting you, I can then give you my opinion on what I think based upon what I've read and what I'm presenting you and what I know other people are saying out there about this. That way you can see where I'm coming from, what I have personally looked into, and then you can draw your own conclusion of, okay, maybe Marko has a point here, or I can sit here and go, hey, because you guys have done it to me over and over and over again. A lot of you guys come in here and we'll have a conversation, and you start making me think. It's like, hey, you know what? They got a point. I'm not afraid to be wrong. You guys know that. I have there have been things I have been dead wrong about, and I admit to it. I'm not afraid to admit to it. There are content creators out there who will they have too much pride, and they have too much ego to admit that they're wrong, and so they'll double down on the lie, and they expect people to expect the double down to be taken at face value. And so, and then by the time they realize, hey, no one believes me, they have lied so much about that very topic that they can't back out of it. And that's why you have a lot of these, content creators, and they do their "I'm sorry," stream, and "I didn't tell the truth" string, or they have their "coming to Jesus" moment type of thing. And it's because they have realized, no one's going to believe them. And that's their only way of trying to gain some kind of, reconciliation with the people who have supported them. But let's look at chat here. My shadow is my enemy too. Hey, sometimes we do make our own worst enemy. I mean, that's very true. I tell the truth, yet no one trusts me. I think that's the biggest thing too, is that if you don't inject some kind of drama into what you're trying to talk about or say, then people are like, man, why should I believe you? What the story that he or she's telling me over here is a lot more dramatic. I think I'll believe them instead, even though all that drama is purely thought up in somebody's head, and then they're just trying to hope that they sprinkle enough of the truth in there somewhere that people will just buy the whole story. It's just like how that certain cat VTuber was like, any colors, physical report was dropped, and people are not happy about what happened, and she tried to make it all dramatic and how like everything was hit, has hit the fan. Excuse me, has hit the fan. Even though their stock price went up by 21%, their annual revenue was like literally like I think it was like 3 million yen off, but yeah, it was basically in line with what the forecasts were. You know, they tried to make it sound like Niji Sanji is just depraving the English branch of any type of money or any type of funding or support or anything else when that wasn't true either. They tried to make you believe that because they were canceling stock. Oh my gosh, they're holding money from the VTubers, the talent, that the people that bring in the money. Why aren't they paying them more and all this other stuff? And it's like if you read the report instead of trusting other people to tell you everything that you need to know about that report, you would probably, maybe sort of tell a different story. There's so much you can learn from just reading these reports. It's fascinating to me. It's like, I listen to other content creators talk about those very subjects, and it's like, did you read what you're trying to talk about? Because it sounds like you didn't. I mean, there are sections of the very Q&A that VTuber was trying to use as evidence of just how bad the company is, and it's like you have it on the screen. It says in the Q&A that Anycolor has already dropped like $2 million just buying the studio, and they're spending another $1 to $2 million refurbishing and building a studio that is 3 times the size of the studio that they have right now, complete with recording rooms and microphones and new equipment and all sorts of the motion detection stuff for 3D modeling and all this other stuff. They're spending like somewhere between like $3 to $6 million when everything's said and done on a brand new studio for them. And it's like, yeah, that may not help people on the EN side, but truthfully, how many people on the EN side live in Japan and how of them don't live in Japan? I mean, that's kind of like where things are right now with a lot of EN VTubers for big companies. False slide, yeah. He's a habitual liar. Hey there, Knight. Welcome. Just popped in to see what's happening. Well, we were playing the game, and the game has crashed on me 4 times. And I've already reinstalled it once, and so I dreamt up the ending, and the end Cthulhu wins and say bye to the planet. That's about it. And I actually was talking to, a little bit about, well, at first I was talking a little bit about what games I'm going to be playing next. There's a lot of games I just have not been able to try because of the whole video card issue. The video card has held up extremely well after changing the power cable that connects it to. Well, actually, it takes 2 cables, and one of the cables I was using was a 6+2 power connection. and switching it over to an 8 pin connector seems to be the problem. See, it seemed to resolve the problem. We'll know if it you know keeps working and for the next week. If it doesn't start crashing again like it did after a week last time, then fingers crossed we figured out the problem. But if not, we'll go from there. But yeah, I was just talking a little bit about the what was next, and having a little heart to heart talk about what my current thoughts have been about streaming and being on YouTube and whatnot. And I'll be honest with you though, with having the time off from YouTube, live streaming, it actually made my anxiety go up. Because it became less about, okay, am I going to stream today, and it became more about thinking about all the other topics and videos that I have wanted to do but never have had the time to do. And being offline and trying to work on videos to upload made me realize that content creation without a process in place quickly becomes a huge time sink. Because for me, I want, you guys know it better than I do, that I tend to segue off of whatever it is I'm talking about into something completely different, and then 6 hours has gone by, right? So I realized really quickly that in order for me not to do that, I need to develop a script and then try to go by from the script. And the problem I ended up having, at least at the beginning, was that I would have a script, I'd start reading from the script, and then I'd segue off the script, and then I'd end up not even talking about what was on the script. And then that entire take has to be either cut and pieced together, or I have to completely re-record it, right? So that I and then I started looking at what I'd write, and realized really quickly that I would go into so much detail about what I was trying to say that my script would end up being pages and pages and pages long. Whereas if I were able to take those key points and then just use a simple example of what I'm trying to say for that key point, and then move on, I was quickly able to take a 30-minute video and edit it down to 8 minutes. And then also the entire editing process takes time as well. And then I keenly became aware of that if I try to talk about a subject but not necessarily have anything up on screen that people can correlate with what I'm trying to say, that it quickly became something that people just lost interest in. So to spice those things up, you try to put screenshots in, or put graphics in there that keep a person kind of guessing, okay, what's he going to use next for this next point type thing, So all those different things, I started realizing, hey, there's a lot that goes into this, and I'm just one person. I can only imagine how some of the people out there that spend that upload 30-minute videos, how long they spent in just recording and then editing of it. So, but yeah. So biggest mistake Niji Sunji can do now is the Sudoku. Well, and that's just it. I don't believe, and this is, and so I know that I know that Niji has they have taken legal action on a few things, and a lot of those things ended up being legal action that would compel service providers to do a certain thing, such as either taking down content or nuking websites, or even in some cases, needing the legal action or legal response to be able to compel, like YouTube, for example, or another service provider to do a certain action of striking or taking down content and that kind of thing. Now, as far as like suing Doki for whatever, I think that there would be it would be hard for them to have a case against her, because if they build a case against her in their country, and they build a case against her, that would give Doki the the green light to take legal action against them from her country, right? And the way, and we've talked about this before, that the way I understand it is that because of the reciprocity, I always forget how to pronunciate that word, that there is at least a legal precedent to have each country take a look at what the other country is saying, especially when it comes to a lawsuit. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you could go over to Japan and try to sue Niji Sunji utilizing Canadian law, right? It would have to be one of those things where they take action in Canada. If Niji or any color wishes to represent themselves, then they would have to naturally have lawyers that are able to practice law in Canada, or hire a law firm over there, because they, unless they have their own barcode or whatever the heck that they call them, that their lawyers, I don't believe would be able to practice law in Canada. But in the end, what ends up happening more times than not is that there is so much time and money sunk into these things that they just settle out of court, and that's where a lot of arbitration ends up happening, because they you just want it to be over, and I could see a case where if they tried to sue her and then she in turn countersuits back, even in defense, it would probably cost her way too much money to try to build a defense or a countersuit than it would be for her just to move on, and that's where I think a lot of stuff kind of falls nowadays. people on the internet tend to not let things go because, if you let things go, then the excitement dies, the hate dies, the entire concept of what people are making money off dies. So they don't let things die, and the internet remembers a lot longer than history will. That's just the way things are, and unless people take it upon themselves to change, it's not going to change, But I think, if I were to give her some advice, not that she would ask me, but I would say, hey, you know what? It happened. We've talked about it to death. People are bored of it. People are tired of talking about the same thing over and over and over again. I don't want to hate, because when I hate, it doesn't make me feel good. So I'm going to move on. That's what I would tell her. It's time to move on, I mean, do you want to be known as somebody who is extremely gifted, or do you want to be known as that person that, had that thing happen to her with that one company? Is that the legacy that you want to leave behind, or do you want to, move on? That's what I would tell her. Anything for clout with those kinds of people. Well, and that's just it. People have accused me of trying to chase clout, and why are you picking on this person? Why are you talking about that person? Why are you even mentioning them? Why? And it's like, when I see something that is just so blatantly wrong, that it, what they're doing, or what they're trying to achieve, has an effect on the very culture and industry that, we all purportedly want to be a part of. If they're lying, somebody needs to say something. How many people are out there saying something? None, because everyone's too scared. People are more scared of the people who are out there lying than the people who are lying. I mean, I've told people all the time, it's like, hey, you know what? If this VTuber thing one day, comes to an end, I'm just going to, I'm going to walk away. And I'm going to walk away and say, hey, I did that, and then I'm going to move on. But I'm not going to sit there and think my life is over because, I can no longer be a VTuber. Or I can no longer stream, or all, all the things I worked for are gone. It's like, hey, I've made it up to this point, and I've gotten this far. I'm proud of that. And if this is it, then this is it. I'm not going to sit there and cry over it. I'm going to sit there and say, hey, I made it up to this point. I at least tried. And if that's it, that's it. I mean, it would save me a whole bunch of time and money, because then I wouldn't have to worry about buying new computers, new video cards, new equipment, trying to buy, new games so I can have content, trying to sit there and brainstorm content. My life would actually be a lot easier if I were not a VTuber. I hate to say it, but it's true, But this is what I choose to do, because I choose to, try to do something that's a little bit outside of my comfort zone, because I realized I need to challenge myself in that way. And one day it's going to end. And whether or not I end it, somebody else ends it for me, or something happens and I have to end it, I mean, the day that I have to walk away is the day I'm going to say, hey, I got to this far, in life doing that. I'm proud of it, and I'm going to move on. Oi, what's happening? Oh, we're just chatting because the game crashed again. So, I really don't want to start the stream all over again. And so I was just like, hey, I want to at least, chat with people for a little bit before I say, hey, this is not working tonight, blah, blah, blah. But, oh, yeah, I will definitely check it out. I won't check it out right now because, the Crash game has one screen, my main screen, completely black, and I can't get it. I can't get the game to shut down without me restarting the PC. So I'm utilizing my other screen to see what you guys are saying while I'm still talking. So I'll check it out after I finish, though. I'll be sure to do that. Um, oh, it's at Twitter. Okay, all right, cool. I will check that out then. But yeah, let's see what else. That's why I got a laptop. Not only is it portable, but also I don't have to worry about stuff like that. Yeah, well, I did have a laptop at one point, and my at one point I had my setup was that I was able to see everything was happening with the YouTube dashboard on a laptop, and then I had my PC, and then my two screens, and then that laptop just died on me, and that was the primary reason why I was using the laptop, just to, as a second terminal, was because it was an old laptop to begin with. And then that's when I was just stuck with my i7, and then because Intel is extremely stupid, and they dumped in billions of dollars on their state of the art Optane chip that ended up being a complete dud. Um, I moved on from that PC, but I was still trying to use that one as like a second terminal. But then, I couldn't even I couldn't use that to stream, while running the game on my current PC, because for whatever reason, every time I try to do that, the stream would drop in quality, like really really bad. So, um, yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like I haven't been able to buy enough um new technology to keep up with what I would want to do. So, but I mean, for the most part, I've been able to get by with what I have right now. Whether or not next year or the year after, will I be able to make it that far without buying something new? I'm not sure yet. But I kind of would want to I kind of do want to get another computer, but at this point, it's just like, I don't know how much I want to sink in to try to stream at this point, because I also wanted to try to get a new mic, and a new I don't have a receiver for this mic, and it's plugged right into the PC. And if I were to, like, get a new mic, I would like to try to get a higher quality one, which would need have a receiver box for it, and that costs money too. So I haven't really priced things out that far yet, but I've had ideas of what, but that would also, completely depend on whether or not I even, have the ability to grow, my channel, further than what it is now. I mean, we got 6 to 8 people in chat here. Uh, uh, some people have been popping in and out, and I would need to have more consistency, and more traffic in order for me to justify buying something more like that. So who knows? I think even if Niji decides the Sudoku, she would be prepared for it. After all, you don't commit copyright infringement openly without expecting a lawsuit. Yeah, you really don't. I noticed that about her current design as well. Now with her design, I don't know, and this is something that's kind of a gray area in a manner of speaking, because there are, how can I put it? So I don't know if the people who design character models for companies like Anycolor and Hololive, whether or not they are able to retain ownership of the design, and they are basically in kind of like a partnership as far as like the creative design of the character, or whether or not they are designed by the artist, and then those rights automatically go to the parent company. Because of the way and it's kind of weird, right? Because if you look at, and again, this is another reason why reading financials is so interesting to me. Um, if you look at Hololive and cover and Niji Sanji, and you look over their financials, you'll see that they'll list the amount of current employees that work for the company, and they have like Anycolor has like about 430 regular employees for the company. But then they have numbers in parentheses that are contract employees, which would be like your artists and your mamas and papas that rig and design the characters. And they have like about 41 of those that are on pure contractual basis, or incentivized basis of creating assets. And I don't know if in that case that since they're a contract employee, whether or not that contract stipulates if the assets and the character designs that they create are once they're paid, that those characters, that the designs themselves automatically become property of Niji Sanji, or whether or not they the mother and papa of the character designs have authority over them. you know because it like, if you were a regular VTuber, an independent VTuber, like me, I don't own my character design. That defaults back to the person that created my character design. I don't have rights of the character. I have rights to utilize the character, and the rights to pay other people to do, like, do artwork based on the character. But I can't have somebody create a character just like this and then say it's mine, because it's a derivative of their character for the intent use of it being a VTuber model. So there's just a lot of legal hoops. I think in the end that those character designs are they're signed over assets to the company themselves. I want to say, but I don't know. I don't know if the creator would also have a stake in that. I tried to kill the game through Task Manager, but the thing of it is, Task Manager loads um, directly behind the game, and I can't alt tab out of it and pull up the task manager. The task manager is open on my desktop on that screen, but I can't get to it. I've been trying to drag and drop it, and I've tried you know I tried Alt F4, try to kill the game. Um, I've tried everything I could think of to kill the game, and it just does not want to go away. And see, when I alt tab it, I can see Task Manager in the deal, but it's when I try to bring it to the front, it does not want to come up to the front, and there's no way I can drag it from that window either. Yeah, I can't. And I can't even open up like my system settings window, because as soon as I open that up, it goes onto the screen where the game is that crashed, and it loads behind the game. I can't even minimize it, which is weird. Let's see here. Oh, by the way, Lightfellow, welcome to the chat. As far as I know, when companies are involved, they will buy all rights. See, and that's why I thought so as well. Since they're able to be copyrighted, and they become more or less registered trademarks as well, since they're basically like a mascot for the company. CJC, welcome to the chat. Hello, did I come in? Is it over? Well, it's kind of over, but the game has crashed about 4 or 5 times now, and it's crashed to the point where I can't even use one of my screens, because the game loads. The game is just like a black screen, and I can't even alt tab or or alt F4 the game. I can't kill it unless I reboot my computer, and I've already rebooted my PC once because of a crash. So I basically made up an ending for the game. I just said it was all a dream. But so we've just been kind of talking about various things. One of them was what I ooh. Are you gonna let me? It didn't work. So I've been talking about, like, we've talked about several things, but one of the things I was talking about was what I want to stream next, and then also yeah, the title did explain itself, and it's very true. Fortunately, my video card has not crashed, which is a good thing. So I think I figured that part out. It's just everything else. So, but like I've said before, with it being August, and the general theme has been, especially with the Japanese VTubers, has been, you start horror month in August, and then you let it go through the end of October into November. I have plenty of those games. I'm kind of glad I did not try to stream Alan Wake 2. Yeah, especially since there are a couple of naked scenes in it. One of them involves a very graphically detailed image of a naked older man. I was like, oh my, I'm glad I wasn't streaming that. But that there are a couple other ones that I did want to stream, like uh, what was it? What was it called again? Oh, one of them was Alone in the Dark, and then there was a couple other ones as well. Can't think of the name of it. Once was it like Once Human or something like that? What was it called? Uh, I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but yeah, there's a few of those, and then there's a couple other ones I've been meaning to get around to as well. So I do want to do those. I've I'm about 40, roughly 40% done with the video for Hollow Earth. I think that they're gonna probably release it before it's ready. That's just me thinking out loud. uh, it's such as it is. They don't even have controller support for it yet. Let's put it that way. There's no controller support for it. It's controller does work to a certain extent, but graphically it's not. It's still not optimized. I mean, it's heavily monetized, and I think that's gonna turn a lot of people off. I think they'll probably get a decent amount of money off the monetization in the game, but they better have some depth to what you can do in the game, because I mean, if for version 0.9.0 there is not a lot to do in the game. Not a lot that would keep anybody interested anyways. So hopefully they have more. But we'll have to see. I try to stay positive on it, but you'll see once I finish the video on it. But there's just there's a lot of decent ideas in it. It's just I I don't know what the vision is, the proper vision is of the game. And when you only have roughly 57 people developing this thing, that I have never heard of a persistent online massively multiplayer type game developed by 57 people. Yeah, and expect them to develop the game to a 1.0 status in less than 2 years. It, that kind of says black company, doesn't it? I don't know. It just seems odd, but especially when they're hiring a lot of kids that are just they're looking for their foot in the door into game development, and this is likely their first game. Because they do hire a lot of kids straight out of college, so we'll see. Ba, 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 ba. Let's see here. If if they can stream that PP game with that, well, and that's just it. I mean that was kind of one of the things that kind of soured me on. And I'll openly admit to this. That was kind of things that one of the things that kind of soured me on Hololive for a while was the fact that she was able to stream that game, get away with it, and it never be taken down. And then she was immediately made the mascot figure and somebody who talked and represented the company less than a year later. It's like, so this person did something completely abrasive that turned off a lot of people because it was very vulgar, and you allowed her to do this, and now she is a a representative of your company. Okay, what was Hololive supposed to be again, Yago? I thought it was supposed to be about them being the VTuber equivalent of AKB48. Does AKB allow their idols to stream PP games online now or something? I just my mind went there. It was just kind of like, okay, wait a minute. If Hololive was supposed to be that, and if one of the girls in AKB or any one of their sister groups was streaming online as herself using her stage, their stage name, and they were playing the PP game, wouldn't that cause controversy? It was just my mind just kind of went there. It's like, okay, well, I thought idols were supposed to be say so, but I guess you just completely gave up on that, Yago. What's going on here? That was just kind of when my mind just kind of went there. It was like, I was like, okay, Yago must have completely given up on that. It was like there's just no hope for Hololive to ever get there, so we'll just run with it. But I mean, I guess I mean, he let Hachima get away with stuff for so long. He might as well just let everybody get away with it. Uh, yeah, well. Could you imagine the amount of crunch time those people must be under right now? I mean, and I've mentioned this before, but Hololive is, or a cover is going to be starting. They're taking on this debt, this loan debt, in October, starting in October, to help pay for you know the additional game development into 2025. And they're also, whatever development costs come out of Hollow Earth, moving forward out of October, they're taking directly out of their net profits, their net revenue. They're taking the cost directly out of that. All right. And it's like, when you start trying to wrap your brain around that their Q1 report, while it was a positive, their Q1 report was a positive. They did have a positive report. It was dramatically lower than one would expect it to be at, and part of it was development costs, and then also the amount of costs that were involved with the company because of all the stuff that they're trying to do. And a lot of that cost is coming back to dig into what that quarterly income used to be, right? And that they are still adding to. So there's a concept called cash on hand and money flow. All right, and part of that whole thing involves the amount of revenue that's brought in from either commerce or in their case promotions or merchandise, that kind of thing. And Cover Corporation has only, I think it was about a fourth. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was about a fourth. When you compare the amount of cash on hand and money flow between Any Color and Cover Core only has about a fourth of what Any Color has. And part of the reason is because there are all these grandiose type of things that Cover is trying to do. And so naturally they're going to be spending more money on it, right? But the thing of it is, every single quarter, the more and more that they've been taken on, the smaller the amount of revenue that is coming in that they're able to count on for either paying overhead because of other developments and growth of the company, or additional projects that they end up trying to take on, or buy space and buildings for people or whatever. And that has slowly been diminishing for the last roughly 2 years now. And that doesn't they should, and they probably have, but I haven't been able to find or read it yet, that of what the expectations or plan is for what they anticipate additional development and maintenance will be for this game going forward. Because we don't know where the data center is that is going to house this supposed 24/7 always online persistent multiplayer game. As far as we know, and as far as I know, it's probably a server in their own building. But if you're going to expect tens of thousands of people to have a multiple connection game running at the same time, you're gonna need a fairly good sized data center that is capable of it, right? And that costs lots of money. So yeah, there's just a lot of questions that I have that make me very nervous, and thinking, I'm hoping that they aren't they haven't anticipated this type of thing. You would think from just like the proto lives and stuff like that they've done, that they would have accounted for the amount of people and traffic trying to connect all at once. But my assumption is based upon every other game and every other company that has launched or tried to launch a game like this, that they are going to be massively underestimating the amount of money and cost and hardware that they're going to need in order to run a game of this magnitude. That's my opinion on it, but history has spoken and proved this before. Yeah, Yago, we are an idle company. Yeah, Bay, PP game, go, brr. Yeah, it's like, oh my god. It's like, oh no, it's crying. Oh wait, that's the uh I mean it I I was half expecting, and I don't know why, when I saw the clip of her playing that, I was half expecting Coco to show up and just like, what the are you playing? You know? And then her going, yeah, go. You didn't allow this when I was here. Oh, man. That's great. I saw that Kiara was doing a thing with Made Mint. I would have never thought that would have happened. But then again, I mean, they've had like crossover collab kind of stuff with Niji. So, but I never thought. I don't know why it shocks me, but maybe it shocks me purely because she is independent and she isn't with a company that they have collabed with in the past. But still, I was actually shocked to see that that was a thing. Um, Yeah, they surprise us with that. But generation is changing now. Maybe. Well, and I think that there are two different schools of thought on this whole thing. One school of thought is, and this is something that a lot of people can look back on now and kind of understand. There was this whole school of thought, especially in video games at um in the early aughts and into probably 2011 to 12, where the whole concept of westernization, especially in the video game world, was really uh had its grip on video games, how things looked, how things were developed. Everything had to appeal to the West. It and so they tried to Americanize a lot of stuff, for lack of a better word. And what they found was that they ended up alienating people more than they were bringing in, because people were expecting, hey, this is from Japan, we were expecting a certain thing. It's like anime and manga and everything else, that it has its aesthetic that we like, because we like it because it's Japanese. We don't like it because it's you're a Japanese company trying to make an American product to appeal to us, because we want Japanese stuff, that kind of thing. But then at some point it felt like the dynamic changed, and it went back to the way it was kind of always intended to be. But then there's been another kind of movement where now it's becoming more of an accepted thing of, hey, let's try to appeal to them, because we're not trying to appeal to that that grunge, everything has to be brown or different shades of gray type of aesthetic that they were trying back then. Things can be more diverse now as they used to be. And you know in some ways it's allowed a much more creative freedom in a lot of aspects, but then there's also been kind of a lot of things that have been lost along the way too. So, I mean, it is what it is, and I certainly have my own opinions about the direction that the VTubers that are professionally managed by companies or agencies or corporations are going. Honestly, I think that they have missed on so much potential that only a new company or a new agency can even hope to capitalize on now. Um, because my idea, all right, and again, this is me talking. Okay, this is me. If I had the capital to create my own group and create my own company and say I'm going to be debuting, a new VTuber group, that purely of from my production of of what I can produce. Um, I wouldn't hire people to be a VTuber that has a lore and an aesthetic and a look and a design and even a feel of something unique, and then just have them go out there and be everyday girl streamer. You know, I would say I would take and I'll take I'll take myself as an example, and then we also take like Korone or Okayu. Take one of those character designs like that, and I mean even like like Pina Penguin. I mean she had a personality that was they have all had personalities that fit their character with their character traits, so on and so forth. But then I would tell them, it's like, hey, you know the only restriction you have is your imagination that goes hand in hand with the character and the design of your character that you are. You have a yeah, there's going to be a guideline for the character and for yourself and for the person that you're going to be portraying to other people. However, that restriction is only as restrictive as what your creativity is with that character. If you want me to pay you to stream, and give you give you opportunity, you have a 2-year contract, guarantee you're going to get paid the entire time. You know, the only restrictions are what you sign on the dotted line with your contract and what your creativity is. If this character, if you're going to embody this character, then you have to own this character as a part of you, and then make it an extension of yourself. Don't make it you. Don't make it girl streamer just because you're now a VTuber and you're streaming as a VTuber. You're still, you're not just a girl streamer anymore. You're putting yourself into a role. So own the role. Own it. Own it for who you are. Just like Arnold Schwarzenegger, is always, compared to his role as the Terminator. Leonard Nimoy back when he was still alive, he was always he was always paired with his character as Spock from Star Trek. And he hated it at first. He hated it because he did not want to be known as the pointy-eared guy. And he even wrote a book, I Am Not Spock. And then, like, the entire Star Trek thing got a second wind, and suddenly they're making movie after movie, and then he ended up writing another book saying, I am Spock, But it wasn't so much that he lived as Spock. However, he embodied the character as Spock, and he'll ever be immortalized as being that character. So be that character. What can you do as that character that your real life or your real personality or the the way that you stream, how can you amplify the traits of your character based upon what you want to bring to that character. Don't just take the character and say, "Oh yeah, that this is just me, but I'm actually like this." You know? But that's the way I would do it. And I I see way too many streamers with especially like with like the that group that there was that idol group that started recently that were they just called themselves idol. It looked very promising. There are a couple of VTubers in that company that are very promising. Um, but then again, for the most part, it's they kind of abandon any kind of like actual unique character traits for the most part, and they look like you know girl cosplaying streamers for the most part. So I think that there is a big missed opportunity, and no one's sitting there and saying you have to like create your own type of like animated drama type of thing for your channel, and you have to present your every single stream from a perspective of whatever it no one's saying that. However, the further that you get away from the character and their lore, the more diluted you end up making it be when you try to remind people, hey, my character is a pirate captain. My character, is an okami. My character is a dog. My character is a cat. That all those things. I am still Shark. Are you really? When's the last time you've been Shark? you know uh and I know that can be harder than it can be for some things as to another, but that's when you really start looking at okay, we're hiring for somebody to fit this character role. you know if it's harder for us to hire for this role, it's either because we have picked a role that is extremely hard to fill, or we're looking for somebody who is unique enough to be able to put into this role, and they'll have the creativity enough to be able to take that role and embrace it and run with it. And that's kind of what I would look for if I were running my own company. But I haven't been able to win the lottery yet, so just you kind of have to hang in there with me. One of these days, I'll have enough capital to do that. Hopefully, pretty soon. But let's see here. Yeah, Hollow is changing much more these days. I'm not sure it's all for the better, honestly. By the way, did you see that Hollow app? That's basically just a Twitter copy with about as much oversight. I have seen the app. I have not personally looked or played around with it, but I have seen it, and that's kind of another thing that they are dipping their toes into. Some of it is with the hollow indie type stuff, and then some of it is more official with the development. And the weird thing is that I checked their job listings here last week, I believe, and they are hiring for the exact same jobs right now as they were a year before and a year before that. So they either are like really desperately looking for people to fill those roles, or they've just been hiring so many people for those roles and they still are understaffed that they have to keep looking for more people. So I think probably the only job listings that I did not see listed were management positions, but there's still a couple of management positions that look like they have never actually filled, and that those positions are likely being handled with somebody playing roles while they're trying to find the right person. I don't know, but yeah, they're definitely hiring, or asking or looking for people, but I don't know if they've been able to fill them. And they've also been hiring or looking for community managers as well. So that's probably one reason why, like you said, that the app probably isn't being as actively managed as it could be, because just they don't have enough people on staff to be able to do those things. Actually, for me, I would love to see Cover give their talents to play. See, I've been wondering about that, and I think that I think that in a lot of cases, the games that they play, especially like the ones that are monetized like that, they a lot of the games that they either have like signed contracts with specific parties, or different companies, and that's why you see them play certain games but not others. And I think a lot of that also has to do with the ability to sign a contract with them, um, that allows them to be able to play those games as a promotional type of thing, in exchange for their characters or likenesses being added into the game. So I think that's probably why we haven't seen a lot of that. Now I've seen like Niji Sanji. They've had some of their talent be able to play games that I've normally seen other companies never be able to touch. And I think like in a couple cases, like I've seen a couple in Niji play stuff like Genshin Impact or Star Rail, so I'm not sure if they have like a deal with Hoyoverse or something like that, but or either that, or they give them permission, but with the understanding that they're not going to get reimbursed monetization for it or something. I'm not sure, but yeah, it would be nice if they could play some of the more streamlined games, and less of the ones that maybe they have a business contract or agreement with, that they say, okay, you're gonna push this game at some point or whatever. I don't know. But the Terminator was like a role made for him. He brings life to that role. And that's very true. That is very true. Well, and part of, so the way that the narrative supposedly went was, Arnold Schwarzenegger actually auditioned for the role of Kyle Reese, and he did line reads for Kyle Reese, and they didn't feel like he would have been the right fit for it because Kyle Reese has to be more of a sympathetic type person. Arnold he never wants to be portrayed as the underdog, in the fashion of being, overpowered, overgunned, especially back then, in the 80s, you know, he was playing Conan back then, still, and a lot of other roles. And then he also was filming for, I think, a Conan movie, and so he wouldn't be able to be on set for all the scenes he needed to be in for, and that's when they started. They had him take the role of the Terminator, and one of the reasons why he took the role was because he was on set for something, and he had read through the script, and he walked up to James Cameron, and he's like, why do you have the Terminator doing this? I mean, if I were playing the Terminator, I would act like this. This is how, if the Terminator is supposed to be from the future and be this all powerful thing that humanity's trying to fight against, this is how I would portray it. And so Cameron, he was like, well, we don't want to hire you for Kyle Reese. We want to hire you to play the Terminator. And he's like, well, you can't have me, portrayed as weak. I won't do it. And that's when they said, well, this is how we're ending the movie. Your likeness is not gonna be a part of that at the end of the first movie. So you're basically you for the majority of your scenes until they have the swap for the bio robot type thing. And he's like, okay, but then he did the role, and he thought that okay, that's it, and it wasn't until they put together the concept for T2 that he started embracing the role a lot more, and he started adding his own character into it. But by and large, I mean, like, he improvised "I'll be back." That was not in the wasn't in the original script, and the way he said it specifically, wasn't in the script either. So, but he ended up owning that role, by and large, because he, like you said, he was basically saying, this is not how the Terminator would work. This is how if I were pursuing these people and these people are my target, this is what I would do. And Cameron was like, hey, go for it. But I mean, to be fair, they did 2 really good movies and then like 3 really bad ones. I don't know. I personally didn't think that the third movie was all that great, but and I think all the movies after that were just I only like the first 2 movies personally, but that's just me. See, they could be fluff positions, like yeah. I call them that, but there's a different term. The positions that are posted for hiring, but the company itself doesn't hire them due to. Well, and I think there's a lot of truth to that. That there are. I know that in certain positions that they if you were to apply for them, they're handled through like a third party or hiring agency or something to that effect. and then after you get hired, or after you accept the position, and then you get hired, they basically tell you then, hey, you're working for this company. But until you get to that point, yeah, you're right. They typically don't hire directly out of that. Now, I do know that, like, for the talent themselves, the talent, a lot of the talent have had Yago like sit in on their interviews and stuff like that. But of course, he's so busy now that I'm sure he probably doesn't do that for a lot of people now. Because I seem to remember several of them say that they didn't even know who Yago looked or what he looked like until way later. So I don't know. But yeah, some of them, I know for a lot of the positions they don't hire direct through cover themselves, but I do know that they have those positions posted, but I'm not sure what the hiring process would be for them to actually fill those positions. I think that because Niji isn't opposed to China. Oh yeah, Niji. Let's see. If I remember correctly, there is a what a lot of company, and this is a very common practice, by the way. What a lot of companies do, especially if they are publicly traded, is that they will form business contracts with other companies, and part of that business contract negotiation between each other's companies is that they will swap a certain amount of um, public publicly common stock, common stock that you know or trade it's trade on the market every day. They'll swap a certain amount of stock between each other, um, and it's purely a business move where it allows them to be able to control the total amount of stock that can be purchased by another party, right? And it's a purely based move of ensuring that somebody cannot come in and buy up all the other common stock and then force you out as the majority shareholder. Um, and in a lot of cases, there are like stipulations that the other company must hold on to that stock for a certain length of time before they can sell it back, or that they can only sell it back to the company when the company offers a stock buyback program, stuff like that. And so that's a very long way of saying that I know with any color does have, there is a holding company that has several tens of thousands of stock that is a Chinese holding company. Now, it's not a large stake. It's like I think it was like 20,000 stock or something like that. But they are a holding company that is in China, so that could be very much the case. Is they probably have some obligation with a Chinese company or developer or something like that in exchange for stock shares they would do something like that. So yeah. Um and especially with Niji Sanji, well, rather with Covercore having such a sour taste in China's mouth to begin with. I mean, there certainly is a case to be made that you know Hololive, there's still people that like Hololive in China, but I mean, with the way everything has happened with Hololive in China, I'm sure that you know they're probably not the more popular of the two. Let's see. Buh, 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 buh. Let's see. I must be a minority that like T3. I love TX. Well, the TX model of and T3, a lot of people were really critical of her, and I think it was very unjustly that they were critical of her because they were used to the tech innovation of how the T1000 looked on the big screen when it came out. Because CG was just coming into its heyday at that point. The T1000, the whole graphics and the way he moved and morphed between the actor and the CG was all innovative of the time, and so people were really expecting something significant out of the TX model. And then of course there were also a lot of people that were very critical that this tiny little woman was tossing Arnold around, and it was like, really? It's like, she's a robot. She is, she is like top of the line, like the newest thing out there. Just because she's smaller than him doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that she can't dominate him in a fight. But and honestly, I actually enjoyed her as the TX model. I think that she was able to play a um a dynamic role of being a Terminator while still providing that kind of like cybernetic type of feel to I would compare it to like how, and I'm gonna use this as an example. All right. I was actually thinking about this when I was watching another YouTuber here earlier. When in the original Alien movie, and I don't know if any of you out there have seen Alien Romulus, but this is where I'm leading this conversation. In the original Alien movie, um, the synthetic in the original Alien movie, for the most part, nobody knew he was a robot, right? No one knew he was a synthetic, because he acted so human like, right? But not so human that you didn't think something was suspicious of him. There was always that kind of lingering suspicion that something was a little off when it came to Ash. But he didn't really know about that until the actual moment happened. All right, and then you fast forward into Aliens, and while Aliens, where you had Bishop in there, um, being a synthetic, he wasn't so human that people, looked at him and said, "Hey, you're." I can't tell the difference between him being a human and him being a synthetic, because he was just slightly less than human, right? He acted slightly different. He acted less than that. And then you look at that and then you go, wait a minute, if they are 57 years or however many years into the future from when Ash was a robot, how come they didn't act nearly as good as the first one, right? And they even take Alien Romulus, and I don't know if you guys have seen it or not, but there's a synthetic in that movie as well, right? There's actually a couple of them. And when you look at them, and then you look at the actors that portray, well, the actor that portrayed one of them, anyways, um, you look at it, and I see a lot of people like they praised him for a great performance and everything else. I looked at it and I'm like, I could not appreciate the performance that everyone has been gushing about, because the way that he portrayed a synthetic, it seemed like he was a human trying to act like a robot, and I could not believe that he was a synthetic. With Ash, you know, when you put all the pieces together, you're like, yeah, that there was something off about him the entire time. When you look at Bishop, well, Bishop, the way he talked, the way he answered questions, the way he engaged with other people, you could figure out, that he was a synthetic, but he was the complete opposite of what Ash was, right? Even Winona Ryder in Alien Resurrection, Ripley, even says, no human can be that, as compassionate as you, and you could tell that there was something different about her. She did not fit in with the crew that she was with, So I tend to find that people really are too critical of the person that played the TX, because honestly, I could see her being like that robotic type of person that Arnold injected into the T-800, and even what's his name in the T-1000, but yet she was believable enough to be able to fit in with people around her. Yeah, they had several cases where they. Yeah, I think that's kind of like a road that or a bridge that has been burned, and it it's just not never gonna happen. Maybe like in a couple of generations, once time has passed. But even then, with the way that politics happens in Asian countries, and especially with the way the tensions are right now with geopolitical powers like China and Japan. I mean, they're having a hard enough time trying to cooperate with each other to not alienate each other to the point where they make their economy worse, but they're not cooperative enough to make their economies better. I mean, China still, or Japan still heavily imports certain things from China, right? And China knows that Japan is one of their larger consumers of those products, and they don't want that to stop. Especially with China's economy right now. But at the same time, it's like they're alienating the people that buy from them on one hand, but yet they're saying, please don't stop buying our stuff on the other. So yeah, if Japan had the the taste for oil and gasoline like China does, or for that matter, even like the United States does, it would probably be a much different topic. But with Japan basically trying everything that they can to get into green renewable energy, that need just does not exist, especially when most people rely on public transportation. You know, but um, yeah. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night here. What I'm gonna do is I'll make sure that whatever I end up doing next, make sure that the game. Well, I'll try to make sure that the game doesn't crash like this. I don't think I'll be returning to this game at this point, and not until I figure out why it keeps crashing. I'll have to do some little bit looking into the crash files for that. But unless I figure out what it is and how I can fix it, I probably won't return to this game. There's just way too many other things that I would like to play at this point, and I don't want to hold things up anymore than what I have already done. What I may end up doing though is with some of those games, um, depending on timing, I will probably, like, if they are heavily story driven narratives, I'll probably keep the same time frame as what I'm doing right now for those. If they are less story intensive, like, if I were to play um Genshin Impact, or play ZZZZZ, the sleeping game, or some of those other gacha type of games, or even like if there's a couple like I don't think I'll be playing like The Last Descendants or anything like that, but there's a couple of games like that out there I want to try just for the sake of trying. Um, I may do those at a different time frame, simply because they'll be easier to schedule, and we'll see whether or not those time frames work for anyone. If they don't, then I'll just keep doing them at night for me, like always. But there, again, I do have a couple of other videos I'm currently working on. One of them, like, again, is Hollow Earth. I do have a video planned for before Any Colors Q2 report or Q1. Yep, Q1. Their Q1 report is out in 3 weeks, so I should have that video done probably about a week before, and then we'll go over what those results show on a live stream. I'll be doing another more in-depth look at Cover Corporation when their Q report comes out. I believe it's in October or November. I think it's October. But it's a little bit further away, but I do want to do a little bit of a deeper dive into, what I'm seeing with Hollow Earth and what my concerns are, and I want to get that one done before I finish doing the deeper dive into Cover Core. So that's a little bit further off, but like I've said before, I do want to try to do some more fun stuff on my channel instead of always tackling serious topics. So we'll get those spread out along the way. Calvin, let's see. You can try Marine's Treasure Ship. It's a horror game. Oh yeah, I haven't tried that one yet. Yeah. Um. Oh, yeah, that's one of those graphical novel ones. Yeah, I haven't tried that one yet. I think I've seen a couple people play it, but I don't quite remember. I don't quite remember everything that happens in it. So, um, yeah, you don't think my GPU probably wouldn't complain? Yeah, for what it's worth, I was at a point where even just starting up OBS would cause it to crash, and I've been streaming now for over 4 hours total, and it's kept up. So I'm pretty by now almost every other time I've been live streaming it had crashed by by now. So I think we're pretty good on that. And I will probably the next game I'll probably I really want to try ZZZ. So I'm thinking that, for sure that's the one I'm going to be or one of the games I'm going to be streaming next. And then I also wanted to because I've really liked the I liked the original Alone in the Dark game. And I know this is kind of it's nowhere. It's not entirely on the same lines as the original, but I do want to at least try it because I have had some people tell me that they really enjoyed it. Some people say that they didn't, but oh, and Epic Games, their free game right now is the Callisto Protocol, and it's free for people that have Epic Games. So I grabbed that, and I also have the original, or not the original, but the remake of Deep Space, or Dark Space, or that game. But I'm starting to get tired. I can't remember what it's called. Yeah. So that game. I also have that game. I got that one free too. I don't remember how I got that game. Oh well. So yeah, there's plenty of games that I do have, and for I know there are people out there that don't like horror games or creepy games, that kind of thing, and so I don't want to completely alienate people. So I do have I do have Ghost of Tsushima. So that's on the computer, and it works fine. So man, okay, I'm gonna have to kind of try to plot this out, because there's so many things I want to try and so many games I want to play. I will definitely give you guys an idea of what we'll be streaming when. That way we can try to plan out what's the best for everybody, because I do want to try to to get as many people in time slots as possible. That way you guys can come hang out, talk about stuff that we're talking about now, or other stuff, and that's perfectly fine for me. I don't mind talking about other stuff while I'm playing the game, because I enjoy the interaction with you guys, so that's perfectly fun. So, anyways, let's go ahead and let's see here. It's gonna go back up here for a little bit. Calvin, always a pleasure. Glad to have you in chat. CJC, I appreciate you always being here as well. Thank you so much for dropping in. Lightfellow, welcome to the chat, and I appreciate you being here as well. I unless you've changed your name, I don't remember seeing you in chat before. So if you're brand new, or just haven't said anything until now, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Oreo, I don't know if you're still here, or I guess you go by soon now. Thank you for being here. I was kind of worried that I hadn't seen you in a long time, so I'm glad that you popped in here. Thank you for being in chat. Knight, as always, thank you for being here as well. Beavers, I know you're not here now. You went to Planet Fitness, but you were here earlier. Thank you so much for being here. The Cool 2T, as always, a pleasure having you here, and thank you so much for being a part of the chat. If you are a lurker and you haven't said anything, I don't ask or require of anybody saying anything, especially if you don't feel like talking. So, but I do appreciate you guys being here, popping in and out. Being here to watch or being here to lurk. It does not matter much to me. Umberto, I'm not sure if you're still here, my friend, but if you are, it's always great to see you as well. Have a good one. Yeah, you guys too. It's been a minute since we had the opportunity to talk and chat and do anything. So I'm glad to see all of you guys here and chat with me, and I'm glad. Thank you for toughing it out with me with all the hardware problems that I've had, and now software problems. I always worry when I haven't been able to stream for a while. It's, not so much that you guys won't come back, but rather I kind of worry that you guys will think, well, maybe he doesn't want to come back, and that's not the case. I do enjoy this and talking to you guys, and doing all these things that we've been able to do together. So thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. Yeah, I will definitely have a good rest. I'm probably gonna crash as soon as I turn off the camera here. So, but you guys have a great morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever the case is for you guys. All right. Thank you so much for being here. This is Marko Yamashita signing off. Peace.
Let's go.